Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Blue Jasmine, which is the latest film from Woody Allen. Jasmine Francis, played by Cate Blanchett, who has come to live with her sister from New York after her life fell apart when her husband, Hal, played by Alec Baldwin, had a Madoff kind of Ponzi scheme that all fell apart, and all their bank accounts and luxury life in New York on Park Avenue with a place in the Hamptons and everything all fell apart and had to be sold to the government. And so she has come to live with her sister, Ginger, played by Sally Hawkins, and live in her apartment and interact in her world in San Francisco, where she meets her new boyfriend, played by Bobby Cannavale, Chili, and her two sons, and has to kind of make her own way, find a new job, figure out something to do with her life, and find a way to make money now that her life has fallen apart in a very Streetcar Named Desire kind of way. I would almost say this is kind of Woody Allen's modern riff on Streetcar Named Desire. When I was watching it, I was thinking about Almodovar's film The Skin I Live In, and how when I saw The Skin I Live In, I just saw it, I didn't know about its relationship to the film Eyes Without a Face, and then I actually coincidentally saw Eyes Without a Face like a week later and went, oh my god, I need to see The Skin I Live In again because it makes so much more sense and I understand so much more about it. And I'm wondering if Blue Jasmine is the same thing, because the idea of Jasmine, played by Cate Blanchett, I guess is the Blanche Dubois. It's very kind of mentally unstable. She was actually picked up on the street in New York of talking to herself in the middle of the sidewalk. Stella is Ginger, played by Sally Hawkins, and Stanley Kowalski is oddly split between two characters, but it is kind of feels like his riff on it. So I do kind of really want to rewatch Streetcar Named Desire and then watch this again. Maybe I'm reading too much into this relationship with it. It feels very much in that vein. It works for it mostly. It definitely has a relationship with A Streetcar Named Desire. Blue Jasmine is kind of in a long line of newer and more recent Woody Allen. When I think of these Woody Allen films like Midnight in Paris and Blue Jasmine and Vicky Cristina Barcelona, I think about how Woody Allen has changed a lot over his years. I mean, certainly he has, since his early films to this, and it kind of feels like almost that in the 70s when you watch those films, that was younger, rougher, you might say an off-color joke, he was riskier, he wasn't adherent to a certain structure, he wasn't adherent to just referencing Hollywood films. He liked Bergman, he liked Fellini, you could really tell that in his films, and that seems to have gone away the older he gets. It feels like he's very comfortable in his living situation with his money, and that's reflected in these films, and he's very comfortable doing these kind of faux, kind of older Hollywood structure films. Hollywood used to make films like older Hollywood, but that's kind of since gone, and Woody Allen's he's still one of the better ones at it, certainly, but it almost feels like, you know, a friend you used to have in college who you used to go drinking with and make crazy, funny jokes that you can't believe anyone would make, and now you're going to a fancy dinner party that his wife did, and the off-color jokes aren't as welcome, and he doesn't really do the Bergman thing anymore. I mean, he did Match Point, but that's not as acceptable. I mean, I remember when he made that, people were really put off by it, and I don't think he's really done it since, although I didn't see To Rome with Love, so maybe he did in that, but I doubt it. And he still shows some Fellini influence, but just not as present as he was before. It feels like he's not as risky as he used to be. I still like him, what he's doing now, but it does feel like he's a little more safe. That doesn't mean you're bad, but I was thinking that when I was watching Blue Jasmine. Like, Woody Allen's not going to make an off-color joke in Blue Jasmine. If you watch Annie Hall or Sleeper or things like that, he used to. Now, I mean, it's unfair to compare some of the greatest comedies ever made to his more recent work, because that's just very hard to compare, but it does feel that way the way he's directing now. It feels like he's very safe in his older age. He's very more comfortable in making these kind of more older Hollywood films. I don't know if he would have done something so like Streetcar in his younger years. I still like this movie, but I was thinking about, like, man, I wouldn't mind if he did kind of a weirder Fellini thing right now, but I don't think he would really do that anymore, and it's a little sad. I think he's become a little more conventional Woody Allen, and he's a less of a risk-taking Woody Allen, unfortunately, and that's just kind of the Woody Allen films we're getting. Now, he still can do the great kind of Woody Allen written dialogue that he's always done. He gets the great performances out of actors that he always has. Frankly, that's more because of good casting, because if you've ever read anything about the actors who work with him, he doesn't really direct so much. Maybe he's changed, I don't know. But the performance from Cate Blanchett was fascinating to watch. One of those fascinating things where it's a good character. She plays an interesting character. It's not the kind of character that I think is the most likable. It's supposed to be based off of Madoff's wife. I don't know enough about Madoff's wife and what happened after the whole Ponzi scheme fell apart. She plays off of both the human element, the crazy element, the redness around the eyes that she'd always have. Her eyes in this film are very expressive. I think this is one of the best performances I've seen from Cate Blanchett in a while. But she plays up the fascinating element, that element that you'd want to watch some crappy documentary on court TV on a Sunday afternoon. That's in Blue Jasmine as well. They definitely play up that, but they also get the human element to make this more of a complete piece. I've read a lot of things that people say it's like, oh, boo-hoo, the film really sympathizes with her character. I don't really think it sympathizes with her. I think it shows her as erratic and crazy. Some people said she's an anti-hero. I don't know about that. I didn't really think she was very much of a hero at all. I think she looked like kind of a half crazy, half shitty person. I did sympathize with her in certain parts. I didn't sympathize with her in other parts. I think she seemed very erratic and clueless at the same time. Sally Hawkins, I think, was the one who was really the character I felt the most sympathetic for. I like Sally Hawkins a lot. I actually liked her American accent quite a bit. I mean, Cate Blanchett, we've all heard her American accent before. Sally Hawkins, I really liked her American accent. It feels almost like very mousy, very put upon, but she feels like she's got her feet on the ground. She's a very down-to-earth person, and she knows how to do it very well. Bobby Cannavale, I think that's how you, I'm sure I'm butchering it, and Andrew Dice Clay are almost playing like if this is really a Streetcar Named Desire kind of riff. I feel like they're both playing Stanley Kowalski. Bobby Cannavale is playing kind of more of that kind of rugged, kind of angry, man-boy kind of character that Andrew Dice Clay is. He's very impulsive. He's going to question Cate Blanchett's Jasmine character, but there's a refined actor in there, and he's good at hiding that where you think he's kind of some jamoke. He seems to be able to play off Cate Blanchett very well, and Sally Hawkins as well. Andrew Dice Clay is somebody who I never thought I'd like as much as I do in this movie. I thought he's really good as Augie, Sally Hawkins as Ginger's first husband. I think he's the character I'd sympathize with the most. You know, I was thinking about, like, oh, is this film too much sympathizing with this like rich evil lady or something, but Andrew Dice Clay I definitely feel the worst for. He was really burned by what happened with him with Hal, Alec Baldwin's character, and how he kind of used his lottery winnings that he was going to open his own construction company with. He doesn't feel like someone who's like the past has really ruined him, but he feels like I really sympathize with him, you know, and it's not done in kind of such a black and white way, or at least it didn't feel that way to me when I saw it. And Andrew Dice Clay seemed to bring a lot of humanity to someone who had really been screwed over. He's almost the only real representation of the people who got screwed over in one of these Ponzi schemes, but he's very good at playing that off, both as a human character and someone who really means something to the story as well. I also like Louis C.K. He has a smaller role. I mean, he's very Louis C.K. in it, but I like Louis C.K. as an actor. I mean, you know, I'm a redhead who wears black shirts, so of course I like Louis C.K. I still like newer Woody Allen, and when I think of Midnight in Paris, and a lot of people had a problem with Midnight in Paris, I didn't. And the reason I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with this, is sure, these are kind of smart movies for Philistines. I hear that a lot about newer Woody Allen. And they're not the most artsy of art movies in the world, but they're still, I think, enjoyable films. Regardless of how you want to categorize a certain kind of film and how he's changed and how art's changed and whatever, when I saw Blue Jasmine, I thought it was a really good movie. It was very funny in places that I was surprised by. It's kind of an interesting kind of character study of a very crazy, erratic character. He's not pushing it experimental-wise, he's being very safe, but he's good at playing in that safe world. And Blue Jasmine does that very well. So if you have seen Blue Jasmine and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. I've seen other Cate Blanchett films on the big screen, but for some reason her eyes really stuck out at me this time. You know, I guess she has blue eyes, doesn't she? Like a blue jasmine. What?